welcome back. Yes, it is the cheapo zone. Love it, love it. BD-19A in the cheapo arena today. Wow, and guess what? This multimeter talks. That's right, it talks in 5 different languages. Well, sorry, I'm just joking. Just one different language. It talks in English, but hey, English works, well, at least for most of us. What do you get in the proverbial box? Well, we get a nice little holder where the test leads were in, and here are those test leads. Take them out of here, and what do we got? Oh, they look okay. We have a cat rating here, a 1000 volts cat 3 10 amp. Alrighty. Not the sharpest test leads in the world, and we didn't have a safety cap for some reason. But that being said, they do feel fairly good in the hand. Well, we'll see just how good or bad these leads perform. That's it. Nothing else in the box. Didn't even get a battery. No, I had to go and buy a battery for this meter. C'est la vie. We also get a little instruction manual. At first I thought it was completely generic, but it actually does make certain references to this specific meter. So, you know, it's okay. Basically a quick how-to guide. And of course the multimeter itself. Wow, look at that. Doesn't that look familiar? Has that fluky look, doesn't it? And that ain't no fluke. But, could be a Fluke 15B. Could it? Could it? Yeah, but it ain't. It is not. It is a... Well, I got it as the BD-19, so very generic name for a multimeter. And, well, it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like on the inside as well. You know, these meters, these types of multimeters generally are not so bad in terms of the input protection. So, well, you know what? We'll soon find out. The Army G.I. Joe cover here comes right off. Yeah, there goes the boot. And voila, powered by one 9-volt battery. Okay, it takes a 9-volt. And we have a flip stand as well. Now, as you can see, it doesn't stay in place, so it does do the little flipperoo at times. Hey, maybe it's gonna fly, I don't know, but it seems to be okay. Fairly stable, and yeah, you could probably one-hand it if you really, really wanted to. Take a closer look at the selector switch, starting at the midnight or off position. HFE or transistor mode. DC volts up to 750 volts. AC volts up to 750 volts. Amps DC up to 10 amps. Amps AC up to 10 amps. Non-contact voltage. Diode and continuity. Resistance up to 20 megaohm. Finally, capacitance up to 20 millifarad or 20,000 microfarad. At the top of the meter, we have our hold / select / backlight button. In the middle, we have our true / average. This is how you enable or disable the voice commands. And finally, on the far right, we have our transistor inlay, the NPN and PNP. At the bottom, we're looking at 4 inputs. That's right, we have a separate high current input up to 10 amps. In the middle, we have our milliamp input, and that is fused up to 200 milliamps. We have our common or ground. And finally, on the far right, we have our voltage, resistance, frequency, diode, and capacitance. Finally, the multimeter also does frequency. Yes, it has a frequency sitting kind of buried there, actually. It's on its own. It's in the 750 volts AC range, but yeah, there it is. Okay, let's turn the meter on for the first time, shall we? Let's hear that voice.
Who's your daddy?
Okay, that's just weird. Okay, without further ado, let us turn on the talking multimeter. Oh, I can hardly wait.
Already on.
Oh, well, it said it was already on, but it really wasn't already on. I just turned it on. Let's just try that one more time, shall we?
Already on.
Okay, so when you turn it on, it tells you that it's already on. It's already starting to annoy me. Now, as we switch ranges, it is not giving us a verbose indicator telling us where we are, so to speak. So right now, for instance, we're in the milliamp range, and it's not saying DC milliamps. Nor is it telling us that we're in non-contact voltage or continuity, diode, or resistance. It only talks when it wants to. Display itself is not bad, and look at that, we actually have a bar graph. Oh, cool. I didn't realize that at first, but yeah, there it is, a nice looking bar graph. Well, we'll see how good or not so good that bar graph is shortly. We have a backlight on here as well. Let's just enable that. We've got to hold down on that select switch. Oh, that is bright. Bright, bright, bright. We got some bleeding there on the left, but nonetheless, a good-looking backlight. Definitely bright. How long is that going to stay on for? Oh, not long. Not long, but 10, 15 seconds tops. So, well, at least it has a backlight. Not so bad, not so bad. Okay, we're going to start things off with the DC accuracy test. I've got the precision reference out and about. It's been heating up for about 10 minutes. And we should be looking at 5.000 volts. Remember, this is only a 2000 count multimeter, 2000 counts, so not a whole lot of resolution. But let's see how it is in terms of accuracy. Okay, so it was kind of flaky there, but it did pick up that 4.98 reading. Let's just... So 4.98 is what she's telling us, and well, so it seems to pick up that first reading. I guess those leads just aren't in there super duper great, but all right. So about 2,000 counts, about 2 counts off there. Okay, not so bad, not bad. That's right, 119 volts is what it is telling us, or she's telling us.
True value 118.9 volt.
Okay, well, it's close, it's close. We're looking at about 120 volts here in the wall, and she's telling us about 119.
AC true value 0.8.
Okay, stop already. Size-wise, the meter is on the bigger side, of course. Here it is right against the Habitus HT118A, and you can tell, yeah, it is pretty well the same size. Standard little all-sun here, tiny compared to the BD-19A, so let's just get these here together. Anyway, it gives you a good perspective. There is a lot of incarnations of the BD-19A. In fact, I've got a 19A still in the plastic wrap, not even unopened. But this one doesn't talk. And this one is also auto-ranging as opposed to the non-auto-ranging here. Similar to the 282 as well. In fact, the 282 and the 19A are pretty well identical. So lots of flavors of these multimeters floating around out there. But this is the only one that talks. Already, this is a pretty good range for capacitance. We're talking about 20 millifarad, 20,000 microfarad, which is really, really decent. This is only a 100 microfarad capacitor, but let's give it a whirl, see how well it does. And survey says 94.3 microfarad. And that was pretty fast, all things considered. So, all right, well, let's try a slightly higher cap. This is a 10 millifarad capacitor, and wow, 9.57 megafarad. See that? She even said megafarad. So cool. Yeah, it works. Now, unfortunately, it does not work. Anything over the 20 millifarad does not work. I tried had a 40 millifarad, 100 millifarad. Yeah, no can do, but at least it does its advertised range. We're going to try one of the lower range. This is a 0.47 nanofarad capacitor. Let's give it a whirl here, shall we?
51.1 nanofarad.
So she's telling us 51.1 nanofarad. So nice and fast, and you know what? Pretty darn close as well. And the interesting thing is, in the capacitance range, at least, this suddenly turns into an auto-ranging meter. You don't have to play with that capacitance value whatsoever. Put it on the 20 millifarad, and it doesn't matter high or low. You're good to go. Cool. Alrighty, it is going to be resistance now. I'm going to put it into the resistance range. There we go. And yeah, this is a new little test bed for the channel here, a little resistor cluster reference. Let's start things off. Not the low end, the high end, 100K. Here we go.
100.0
Awesome. 10K.
range. 10,000
Awesome. So good.
range.
Super range. Why is it super range? We're not quite sure. Okay, here it is. 1K.
1000 ohm.
And next up will be 100. Let's just take it down a notch into the 200 ohm range on the meter. Oh my, what's happening here? That's not good. Hello?
Already on.
Well, you turned off, girl. Oh, a little flakiness going on. All right, well, it was all good. 200 ohm is what we're set to. Here's the 100 ohm.
101.2 ohm.
Okay,
Super range.
10 ohm.
10.8 ohm.
Awesome. Finally, 1 ohm.
Super range. Super range. Super range.
And it does not like that low resistance value.
1.3 ohm.
Oh, 1.3 ohm. Okay, well, you know what? Not bad, not bad. So there you have it. In the resistance, other than that little flaky shutdown, that was weird. I seemed to do quite well.
Super range.
Next up is diode mode. Here we go. I have that cute little LED test bed. We are in diode.
1.794 volt.
So there was the
Super
forward
range.
voltage drop telling us we're in super range. I don't know what the hell that means. Stop it with the super range. Now she's not talking because obviously you can see it. It's just a little bit too much back and forth here, but 1.8 volts seems to be the forward voltage drop.
Super range.
Let's try the white LED now. And it is lit, but we don't have a forward voltage drop. Over to the blue. Same. And finally the green. Nice and bright, but yeah, no forward voltage drop. So 5 out of 5 in terms of illumination. 2 out of 5 in terms of telling us what that forward voltage drop was. Come on, girl. Get with the times. And in diode mode, the output voltage is a balmy almost 4 volts. 3.93 volts according to little Yokogawa. So pretty good. Continuities next. You can see there's our little continuity symbol at the top. And 3, 2, 1, default test probes. Oh, I love continuity. Here we go. Well, it is fairly consistent. It's latched. It's kind of mediocre loud. It's about 7 out of 10 there in terms of overall clapping. So clapping, not clapping. All right, so okay, a little ho-hum. Let's try the Probe Masters. Alrighty, Probe Masters, here we go. And I'm telling you, these things can make a world of difference on continuity in terms of multimeters that are sort of, ho-hum. Amazing what a good set of probes can do. Here we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Latched. Tiny bit louder. And overall, a huge improvement. Wow, big improvement with the Probe Masters. Love it. Love it. Love it. .3 decibels, the maximum output volume in continuity. Oh, I thought it was louder than that. It sounded louder. Right now we are in DC amps, and we're sitting about 7.2 amps, so you can see quite a discrepancy coming up as 7.6 on the BD-19. So, why such a discrepancy?
7.64 ampere.
All right, so let's take it up a notch. Remember, we have a
9.30
up to 10 amps, and we're getting that high current alarm right now, which is nice. We have a good high current alarm on the multimeter. Bring it back down a little bit, shall we?
8.89 ampere.
Interesting.
DC 5.16 ampere.
And let's just take it right down. 192 milliamps.
20 ampere.
Okay, so I'm actually now going to switch it to the milliamp range.
5 milliampere.
And right now we're in the milliamp range, 199.5. So it's a little more true in the low current ranges. Let's just take it up a notch. And yeah, 200. We're over range. over the 200 threshold.
195.5 milliampere.
So 200 milliamps, that's it, that's all.
100
Yeah, there you go.
0.5 milliampere.
If we compare that to the Sanwa, we're getting the true current value here, 9.58 volts, a lot closer than the BD-19. So, in terms of current, yeah, it is a little off on the high end. So this has that true value feature as well. Take it off.
AC average value 118.2 volts.
So the average value without the RMS is coming up as 118.1.2 volts. Put on that true RMS.
AC true value 117.5 volts.
So it's slightly lower at around 117.5 volts. So a kind of a handy little feature.
AC
Now the other neat thing with this as well is that you can do frequency. We just have to take it up a notch.
AC true value 117 volt.
And I can hit the select switch.
60 hertz.
And now we are getting our frequency. We take a quick look at that bar graph. Really nice feature on any multimeter, especially in the cheapo range. Sitting at 12.4 volts right now. Let's just adjust that voltage a little bit, shall we? See how sensitive it is? And what do we have here? It's definitely not the quickest bar graph out there, that is for sure. Settle now at 7.8 volts.
7.89 volts.
So yeah, definitely not that fast of a bar graph, but hey, nonetheless, it's there. May or may not come in handy, depends. If you wanted to monitor any voltage fluctuations, what have you, it's always a bonus when you get the bar graph scale. Awesome, cool. It's just not very fast. Okay, well, thus far it has performed fairly well, actually. A little bit of flaky going on. I think it is the selector switch as well. Probably needs a little bit of greasing. I've had that dropout happen on one other occasion, and something with that selector. Now, it seems to be okay here. Not getting it again, but
Already on.
yeah, it seems to be okay now. So I'll probably grease this up a little bit with some dielectric in the teardown, just to make it, give it the old once over. Hey, speaking of selector switches, I love this selector. Yeah, I love it. I mean, it has some great clackety clack. Wow, that hits that range with authority. You know you are on your range. The only thing I wish they would do is perhaps color the dial. Why are they keeping it the same color? It's too hard to see. Color it orange or white, that would have been perfect, but nonetheless, excellent selector switch. Good stuff. We are on the inside of this multimeter. Let's start off with the opposite side. And, well, no shielding. Hey, no surprise, but look at that. Look at the size of that speaker. Wow. Now, that is dedicated for the voice module. So that has nothing to do with the piezo, strictly for the embedded voice output. Very, very cool. Here is our 9-volt battery housing, and those are the two prongs that connect over here to the PCB. Alrighty, now let's take a look at that PCB. We have those standard input jacks, split variety. Nicely done solder-wise. We got some pretty big blobs here. Very nice. Definitely those are not going anywhere. 5x20 on the high current side, 10 amp fuse, and a 200 milliamp on the low current. Now this is a glass fuse, not ceramic. Too bad they didn't put ceramic for both of those. Well, we got a tiny little current shunt. Look at this thing, just minute. Wow. Moving up the PCB, here is the PTC. This is on the voltage side. There is our piezo. Now remember, this has nothing to do with the voice, strictly for the continuity, what have you. And speaking of voice, we're just going to move things over a bit. Main IC is cobbed, but look at this little guy here. That is the voice box. That is the IC, the AP23170. It's a high performance voice OTP with a standard CMOS process embedded. 4 megabits of EPROM. It can store up to 170 seconds of voice messaging. Can you imagine? 170 seconds, this thing can be screaming at you. Whoa, cool. Full-size speaker as well, so some excellent output coming from that IC. Okay, I'm going to take it apart a little bit further and see what's on the other side. Doing the old flipperoo, here we are on the reverse side. There's the selector tracks. I made contact with the pads for the rotary selector. Now there is no grease on this at all, no dielectric, so I'm going to put some on because I have a sneaking suspicion we just had a bad connection with the tracks and the pads, and that was causing that momentary flakiness. So I'm going to go ahead and put some dielectric on. Yeah, doesn't take much. Once again, just a little dab, and you are good to go. All right, now I'm just going to use my fingers as a squeegee and just give it a little rub down like that. Oh yeah, Thai massage for the multimeter. Okay, so we are good. Hopefully that'll help, and that'll put an end to that funkiness. Now let's take a look at the top here. We have the main display itself. Gotta say, pretty nice. We have a separate compartment for that LCD. You know, it's not just hanging out there for dear life. So nice attention to detail as well. There's our transistor tester. On the other side as well, there is the track pads themselves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in total. And as well, we have our soft touch buttons over here. Nice PVC material. By the way, speaking of the selector switch itself, a little bit different. If you pull it up, we're not going to be seeing any of those springs or ball bearings, nothing. It's all embedded in that housing itself, so it pretty good. Gives it a little bit more robustness in the long term. I like that. Closing thoughts on the BD-19A. Oh, you know what? I like it. I like it. It's a little annoying sometimes, a little nagging perhaps, but overall, it's pretty good bang for buck. Once I put that dielectric grease on, I had zero issues. No more flakiness. The meter just worked, and it worked really well. Something cool about having a talking multimeter, what can I say? And you know what? Kind of makes it even easier to use. Say you're under the hood of your car, and instead of having to worry about touch holds or anything like that, you know, you just listen to what your meter says without having to look at it. That is pretty handy. Overall, I'm impressed. It's accurate, it's fast to range, and you know what? It did really good in pretty well every single test. Big, bold display. Hey, it's not a fluke, but you know what? It doesn't pretend to be. The BD-19A talking multimeter gets a solid 3.5 out of 5 stars. Hey, I picked up this cheapo for about 25 bucks Canadian on eBay. It is hard to find though, just so you know, this is not an easy meter to get a hold of. You might have to look around a bit before you find one. Hey, thanks for watching this review, everybody. To the next one, keep on testing.